Hi, Julia. Hi, it's
Hello,
nice
Daniel.
to see you. Thank you very much for coming and being a part and coming to share information about the census. We are really happy that you've come and we managed to share this with the Roma community and the European community.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking me along. It's brilliant to have a chance to come and talk to you and talk to all the people that you know as well and all the people that you work with. That's fantastic. Thanks.
Brilliant. So for the sake of the video, Julie, I will be interpreting, I will be speaking in Czech to make sure that the people get some interpretation and understand the information as much as possible. Tak ještě jednou chci tady představit paní je z sčítání lidí, je to teda ten Census 2021. Dneska jsem přišla se s náma tadyhle zapojit, aby dala informaci, co je strašně potřebný, jak to bude dělaný, co budou dělat, jak můžou pomoct vyplnit tu formu a tak dále. Paní vůbec je manažerka angažovanosti, takže paní dává tu pomoc a tu spolupráci s komunitama, s lidma, co to je pro ně těžký, ještě jednou třeba vyplnit tu formu, mít ten internet a vědět, co tam je a vůbec proč to je. So yes, just if I could introduce you, Julia, I know that you've got quite a big experience, and I know you've done quite a lot. We've read your profile, and so we're really happy that you have come to Bradford and are supporting Bradford with the census. There's a lot going on in Bradford. We're hoping to win the Bradford Culture 2025. We're hoping that the Roma community can be a big part of that. And we hope that the census will help certainly highlight which communities are and what cultures we share in Bradford.
Fantastic.
If I can ask, what is your actually specific role in the census, Julia?
Yeah, so my job is Census Engagement Manager. So I'm one of the first people that comes to work, particularly in Bradford, on the census. There's people back at HQ who've been working on it all the time, actually. They're always there. Every 10 years, they keep going. But I'm one of the first people in the team to come and work in Bradford. And so my job as Census Engagement Manager, well, we're calling this a digital first census because we think about 3/4 of people will be able to do their census online. They'll be able to get a letter through the post, they'll have a code, and they'll use their phone or their laptop or their tablet or whatever device really is fine. But we do know that some people will find that quite hard to do. And so it's my job to think about who there is in Bradford and what we need to do to make sure that all the people in Bradford will take part in the census and will all be counted, really. So that's why I started before all the others, so that I can spend time meeting people like you, Daniel, to say, what can we do to help make sure everyone understands what the census is, and also make sure everyone actually can get to do it, so that we're not missing anybody out, really.
Yes. Tak tadyhle jsem se zeptal Julie, o co přímo, jak ona může pomoct tadyhle tomu a o čem tadyhle ten projekt vůbec je, co tady přímo paní dělá v Bradfordu pro nás. Co tady Julie vysvětlila, že ona je z hlavní kanceláře okolo toho Censusu 2021 a vůbec první poslaná jsem do Bradfordu. A proč je tady je, i když vědějí, nebo i když tadyhle ten census, tadyhle sčítání lidí je digitální a myslí si, že 75% lidí digitálně to dokážou vyplnit, znamená přes telefon, laptop, počítač nebo jakýškoliv, co tam máte, co můžete použít. Ale taky vědí, že hodně lidí nemůžou jít na online, nemůžou se dostat na internet a nemůžou pořádně vyplnit tu formu. Tak s tím chtějí pomoct. Chtějí pomoct těm lidem, co nemají ten internet, a víc informace vyjde okolo toho, jak to přesně budou dělat. Snad nám to Julie za chvilku vysvětlí. a taky vůbec vysvětlit pořádně, co to je ten census, proč to tam chtějí a tu informaci, co tam má, jakou informaci se tam ptají a vůbec proč to je dobrý pro vás jako pro člověka a pro komunitu a pro lidi. Speciálně pro nás, pro organizaci, myslím, že to je výborný. Víme, že se to teďka děje okolo Evropy, například v Čechách a na Slovensku a je to strašně vážný pro Roma, kde můžeme napsat, že náš národnost je romská. Takže něco výborného. That sounds absolutely great, Julia. I think everybody will appreciate the support, especially our more vulnerable communities that don't have the access to the internet or don't understand the process necessarily. Do you think that the other 25% that you guys are wanting to help, want to support, exactly, do you have a structure how you guys will be doing that? Would you be giving physical applications to these people? Do you think that the pandemic will hold any of this process up?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot going on in there. I think you're right. The plan originally was that if people, well, this is still true, if people want to have paper forms, then it's absolutely fine. They can have a paper form. They're quite hefty. They're quite thick. There's quite a lot of pages in there because you have to cover every eventuality on paper.
Yeah.
But people can have paper forms, and that was absolutely big, strong part of what we expect to happen. And there's no problem if people want paper. On top of that, we've got telephone support lines that people can ring up, and a couple of things could happen. If it, particularly now with COVID, means that they don't want to go out or they're not going to see anybody else, and paper forms isn't going to work for them, and they haven't got internet, then they're absolutely fine. Actually, they can go through and they can do their whole census return on the phone if they need to. We call that, and there's like an extra team being put in to make sure that everyone still can take part that way. But my power's gone. I'm going to put my power in. Sorry.
No worries.
Oh, isn't it?
Can I just ask about the telephone line then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Will the telephone line, will they have the option to make a conference with a language line, so have an interpreter present? Yeah,
absolutely, they will. So apologies for that. Got my power put in now.
No worries.
So telephone, we've expanded the direct capture. So if people need to, actually, it's the best thing to do to avoid anyone else coming into the house or anything. Just do it on the phone. They'll do it there and then on the phone. It takes a while, but they'll do it.
Yeah.
Also on the phone, we've got language line, and they've got about 40 languages on standby all the time to put a third person on the phone to do some interpretation, I should say. But there's about another 200 languages which are available. They probably need to book those calls, so someone would ring up, and if it was a language not in that original 40, they'd book a time to call them back. So we've got people who can't go online can ring, can get translation and interpretation services online, and then get direct capture just by doing their entry directly there on the phone if they need to.
That is brilliant. Wow, fantastic.
Yeah. There's a lot in place to try and help people. In addition to that, we've got what are called census support centres, and there's 4 organisations in Bradford who are being asked to actually put on a service for people. We'll have to wait and see what happens with lockdown, because at lockdown, obviously, we can't just open. But we're hoping that in the time of the census, we'll be able to open up okay. And then there's 4 places where they're there, definitely to help people. And they can come along, use their machines, talk to them. People have got language skills there as well. And on top of that, we've got community organisations who are helping, which has just been fantastic. Really, really good news. Pretty much every community organisation I've spoken to in Bradford, when I talk to them about how important the census is, they are really happy to offer to support their own community or their own clients.
Okay.
So there's lots of ways that people can get help. No one is being left on their own to get on with the census. Some people will just do it. It's great. They'll see the adverts on TV. They'll get a letter through the post. They'll sit down. They'll do it. Done. Job done. Easy.
Yeah.
They can even go on when they're online. We've even got language guides online, so they don't have to talk to someone if they don't want to. They can just sit and read the translations and answer the questions. That's okay if they're online.
So when you are online, you can actually convert it into different languages.
Couple of ways. Yeah, a couple of ways there. We've got guides written in other languages that explain it, and you should be able to use online translation services if you want to. They're obviously mostly okay. You'll probably know better than me how
makes sense.
Sometimes they go a bit off. But we have got prepared guides that explain the questions in all the languages as well.
Okay.
So people can choose how they want to do it. And I think what might happen is that someone might have the guide open on their phone. So they're reading the questions here in their own language, and they're filling it in on their, either on paper or on their laptop or on their tablet.
If
they're going to do the electronic questionnaire. Of course, the guide works. If you're doing the paper one, that works as well. So there's translation booklets, language line, places to go for extra help, and then community organisations who are very helpful as well. Yeah, there's a lot out there. I'm hopeful.
No, I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think there's a few options and some really great options for the more vulnerable community, and also the communities that their English language is not the first language. So I'm really happy to hear that, and I think the community will appreciate and hopefully be able to fill it out with them options presented. I'll just explain what we spoke about there, Julia. Takže jsem se zeptal Julie, když to nemůžeme dělat digitálně, když to nemůžeme dělat přes ten internet a vůbec, i když to můžeme udělat digitálně, jak to pořádně budeme rozumět, když třeba neumíme pořádně anglicky. Tak Julie, co řekla, je to možný dát v papíru, takže tu formu mít normálně papírově, fyzicky vyplnit. Říká, je to strašně velká forma, ale může být dána papírově. Co strašně chce tadyhle říct, je ta telefonní linka. Takže vždycky, když vám přijde ten papír, nebo přijde papír vám, přijde dopis, kde bude napsaný ten kód a napsaný, že musíte udělat tadyhle to sčítání lidí. A vy můžete zavolat na tuhle linku a ten člověk na té lince vám pomůže udělat celou tu formu. Takže hnedka okamžitě začnou a projdou celou tu formu s váma. Je to trošku dlouhý, ale pomůže. Když neumíte anglicky, tak přímo na té lince by přidali překladatele. Překladatel by přišel, jsou tam 40 jiných jazyků, tak 100% tam bude slovenský, český, polský a tak dále. Přidají tam překladatele a překladatel jasný, že pomůže s jazykem, abyste mohli vyplnit tu formu. Stejně ale i digitálně. Tadyhle Julie vysvětlila, že když se jde na ten počítač, nebo když jdete dělat přes ten internet, tak tam můžete si to přeložit. Takže je tam možnost, kde si přeložíte tu formu. Taky je tam možnost se je zeptat, aby papírově byla daná forma v jiném jazyku. Taky tadyhle Julie říká, že je možnost si použít telefon, kde to přeloží tu formu a potom si to můžete vypsat na tom papíru, což je lehčí, vysvětluje. Taky, co ještě dohromady dali, jsou 4 organizace dané v Bradfordu a tadyhle ty 4 organizace budou dávat dohromady projekty, kde bude pomoc vyplňovat ta forma, ale musíme se počkat na tuhle pandemii a uvidíme, co se bude dělat okolo toho koronaviru a snad bude povoleno se navštěvovat organizace, kde nám můžou pomoct. Taky tadyhle Julie vysvětlila, že hodně komunitních organizací jako naše a hodně různých organizací okolo Bradfordu chtějí strašně moc pomoct svých komunitách, aby vysvětlili, pomohli, vypsali. Takže hodně uslyšíte okolo, že jsou různé organizace, co s tím pomáhají. Ale ještě jednou. Takže můžete to vypsat digitálně na tom internetu, můžete to zavolat na tu linku, kde vám dají překladatele a vyplnějí to tam pro vás. Ty otázky se budou zeptat přes ten telefon, můžete se zeptat na ten papír, anebo navštívit tahle ty 4 organizace a možná nějakou komunitní organizaci. Again, thank you very much for that. I think absolutely great options there, and I think even the pandemic won't be able to hold the census up in that way.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
So I'm sure we'll get somewhere with that.
Yeah. In fact, the pandemic means actually it's even more important than ever that we know what's going on with people, really, that we know who we've got. We know, for instance, who's not in work now that was in work, or there's questions in the form. They couldn't change the questions at this point because it was already really well planned. But there were a few questions in there about people who've been ill, how long they've been ill. Have you been off in the last 7 days because of illness? And I think it's going to be really important for us to see some of the impacts of COVID are going to come out through the census because it's going on this time. So we will see some of the effects of COVID, sadly. But it's an opportunity to find out. I think that's the good thing about it.
Jenom říkám tadyhle, Julie, o pandemii. Říkám, že ani koronavirus nemůže zastavit tadyhleto sčítání lidí kvůli tadyhleto možnostím, co dali lidem, aby to mohli vyplnit. Tadyhle Julia s tím souhlasí a říká, že je ráda a taky, co si myslí, že to pomůže tomu vidět, kdo byl zasáhlý s koronavirem. Protože jsou tam otázky okolo tady toho. A vůbec na to se teďka posunu a chci se zeptat, jaký tam budou otázky. Snad nám to Julie vysvětlí, co tam jakoby se ptají okolo. A potom chci vědět, proč to je teda dobrý. Já chci to vysvětlit, co to je pro naši komunitu, co to znamená pro nás, jako Romové žijící v Anglii. Right, Julie, thank you again for that information. I think a lot of people, and especially in the community, when we start talking about the census, a lot of people are like, okay, and you've touched upon it as the questions about the illness, but what else do you ask? So, what is the census?
Yeah, very much fair enough. As to say, what actually is it all about? It kind of falls into 2 parts, really. The first part is about where people live, and it's about understanding the type of accommodation, if they own it, if they rent it, who lives there normally, and then thinking about the number of bedrooms, and we're thinking about what people's housing conditions are like, really. We want to make sure that we understand when there's any problems with housing, and it's very difficult to find it out any other way, actually, that type of thing. So there's a real picture of where do people actually live, and that happens once for each household, and then we need to know about the people separately as well. So there'll be an individual section for each person that lives in the house or in the household. And that asks questions like about ethnicity and about national identity. It asks questions about the qualifications. It does ask if you're working or if you're off sick. There's all sorts of questions in there they're quite straightforward when you look at them, and it don't actually, because the information isn't shared with anyone's names on, although they sound like they're sometimes quite detailed, but really, once the names are taken off, it just gives us a strong picture of who we have in the country, of understanding how old people are, whether people are, if we've got a lot of people under the age of 5, a lot of kids have been born, then we need to know in 5 years' time, and in 10 years' time, and in 20 years' time, that we need schools, and then we need housing for them for when they leave home and they move into their own place, and we need education for them for university. It asks quite a lot of questions about each person in the household. It takes about 10 minutes per person on top of the 10 minutes for the household itself. So it depends how big your household is, really, as to how long it's going to take.
Okay. So just on now, as I'm hearing, just before I interpret, does that mean that the census goes by the addresses then? So a census is sent to an address and then finds out about the household.
Exactly. Yeah. So we have what's called an address frame, and the field team, all the people are actually out there with the census bibs on and their bags and all their bits and pieces of kit. They go out and they make sure that we've not missed any addresses, but we work by address. So it's about where people are, and then we want to know what the property is, and then we want to know who lives there.
Okay,
and that's the basis of it.
Yeah.
And then although we're asking for names, we're actually only asking names to make sure we don't miss people or double count people. That's the only reason we're asking for names. Nobody else gets to see the names. It's not really about you, the census return. It's about what you need, what you're going to need in the future, what services are needed, what kind of housing you need, that kind of thing. So it's a picture of what we have in the whole country, not just where you are now, really. It's about thinking about things for the future too.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant information. Tak tadyhle Julie nám dala teďka výbornou informaci, vůbec jak to pracuje a co tam bude. Tak jak to vysvětluje, že to sčítání lidí jde podle adresy, takže oni mají systém, kde snad pošlou každý adrese tadyhle ten dopis a potom ta adresa dá detaily, jako dá informaci, kdo tam žije, kolik tam jsou lidi a tak dále a vůbec co to je za. Tak to jakoby pracuje, tak to oni takhle sčítávají lidi a potom říká, že tam mají ještě potom lidi, co chodí okolo, co jsou přímo z té organizace, co chodí a zjišťují, jestli se dostala ta forma do každé adresy. A říká, co se tam ptají, jsou vůbec otázky kvůli dvou částím, takže chtějí prostě informace okolo dvě části. A říká, že tam jsou otázky vůbec, lehké otázky pochopit a co se můžou odpovědět jakoby okamžitě. A říká, ty otázky jsou proto, aby vůbec jako stát pochopil, co má za lidi a kde tadyhle ty lidi žijou. To neznamená, že když tam dáme svoje jméno, nebo když tam máme svoje detaily, že to je potřebný k tomu sčítání lidí, nebo vůbec proč je to tam sčítání. To jméno tam je jenom kvůli tomu, aby věděli, že každý to dostal, aby věděli, že ta adresa tam měla jméno a že se tam dostala ta forma. Jinak, když oni potom sčítají ty lidi a koukají se na ty otázky a dávají všechno dohromady, ty jména jsou pryč. Takže ty jména nic neznamenají, spíš jenom chtějí zjistit tu informaci, aby věděli, co stát má. A vysvětlila to pěkně Julie, nebo například řekla, když víme, že máme hodně dětí, co jim je 5 a míň, znamená, že se narodilo hodně dětí. Tak musíme už začít plánovat za 5, 10, 20 let víc škol, víc bytů a tak dále. Tak to je jenom jakoby jeden příklad tady. Okolo těch dvou částí, co ona říká, co chceme zjistit, je, kde lidi žijou. To je první část toho sčítání lidí, proč to vůbec dělají. Pochopit, kde žijou, co to je za barák, kolik pokojích tam je, jestli to je váš, jestli jste koupili ten byt, jestli to máte na nájem. Ta druhá část je zjistit o těch lidí, co tam žijou. Takže kdo je ten hlavní, co dělají, ptají se například vaši práci, nebo jestli jste nemocnej. Neptají se přímo, kolik peněz jakoby vyděláváte, ale ptají se, co děláte. Takže ještě jednou, proč děláme sčítání lidí je, aby pochopil stát, kde lidi žijou a aby pochopil stát, jaký lidi tam žijou. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, of course, it's
just reiterating, as I just to repeat, nobody else gets to see their census returns. Your census return, it's private. No one sees. The council don't see it. The taxman doesn't see it. Home Office doesn't see it. No one else sees it. And in fact, the Office of National Statistics, although we're a government body, we're separate from the government. We don't have a minister. No one in government can actually see the detail of who people are. Those details are taken off, and everything is just put together as information. So everything's private.
And then kind of sent around and information shared at that point rather than at the point when the application is done. You guys go through it, collect all the information from the applications, and then share the whole picture.
Except in 100 years. In 100 years, we publish it for historical reasons. So
So
people probably remember it. Yeah,
every
every now
100
and again you
years.
hear it. Yeah.
Does that mean you publish the names that completed the applications?
That's right.
Okay, right, okay. And that's for the full 100 years?
So from 100 years ago, we pick it up. So this year we will publish 1921.
Makes sense.
2021. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So people use it for like for tracing their family and for genealogy and all sorts of things like that.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tak co teďka Julie vysvětlila, že ještě jednou žádný soukromý detaily nikam, vaše soukromý detaily nikam nejde. I když sčítání lidí je část parlamentu a je část vlády, tak, promiňte, ne parlamentu, je část vlády, nejsou až takhle spojený, kde vidějí tu informaci. Takže sčítání lidí bere tadyhle tu informaci, ty detaily vaše soukromí vyndají z toho, dají dohromady tu celou informaci a teprve se to dává jiným organizacím a teprve se to používá. Co taky říká je, ale každých 100 let, takže od 100 let od roku 2021, 100 let od toho tu informaci dají na systém. To znamená, že vaše detaily tam jsou. A to je kvůli tomu, aby lidi například mohli najít svoji rodinu, svoje jména a tak dále, kdo tam byl. Takže svoji jakoby historii a stát to používá pro všelijaký historický možnosti tam mají. Rightio, I didn't know about the 100 years. That it's done. That I knew that census is definitely used to find your great grandmother, great grandfather, and your history of your family. But I didn't know it's systematically done in that way. Makes sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. Yeah, it is, absolutely. I've got a question for you, actually, Daniel, if I could.
Yeah.
So on the census, we ask questions about 3 things particularly, which have changed how we ask the questions over the years, actually. Each time they look again and work out how they want to do it to be best reflect what we've got happening in the country. And we've got questions on there about nationality. We've also got a question on there about ethnicity. We've got a question about religion. And I was wondering, with Roma, what do you think? Is that important for Roma people, that they've got the option to talk about nationality and ethnicity as different things? Do you think that's an important thing?
I definitely think it's a very, very important thing. As Roma people in many other countries, we are not recognized systematically as Roma, but on a daily basis recognized as a Roma.
Yeah.
So I think giving us the option to say we are Czech Roma, we are British Roma, Slovak Roma, it gives us the identity and enables us to say, who we are and gives us the right option there. But also it gives us the chance to share information with other organizations and services to be able to help us, which I think again is a very important part for services to understand that they're not just dealing with a Czech or a Slovak European, but actually this is a Slovak Roma. Therefore, they might not just be able to get a Slovak interpreter because they might not speak Slovak, but they might just speak Roma. So these things definitely, and I think being in the UK, if we're able to be recognized as Roma people, I think that it will have a massive value. I think it will carry value where we can build up on as people, build up on our community for the future and for our children, and be almost a contributing citizen in the UK, a Roma.
A recognised contributing citizen, I'd say. Yes, that's right.
I think that was a really good question, Julia. I'll just explain what we spoke about, what the question was. Julie se mě chtěla zeptat otázku, a vůbec to jsem se chtěl já jí taky zeptat, proč by to bylo dobrý pro nás. Ale ona se mě zeptala, jestli je to vážný se zeptat lidí, jejich národnost a jejich občanství. Takže jestli pro Roma tady v Anglii, jestli to je vážný mít tu možnost dát jejich občanství a jejich národnost. Já říkám 100%, je to strašně moc vážný pro nás. Je to vážný pro naši identitu, jasný, že jsme Roma, možná jsme slovenský Roma, polský Roma, ale jsme Roma, takže máme tam mít možnost dát občanství, že jsme Češi, narodili jsme se v Čechách, máme české občanství, ale jsem Rom, takže rád bych to tam chtěl dát, tak národnost tam má být. To je jedna maličká věc, což má být všeobecně všude, ale což je taky vážný, že my jako potom romská komunita můžeme použít tu informaci pro servisy a organizace, co nám můžou pomoct. Dávám příklad to, když budou vědět, že Slovák Rom přišel použít nějakou službu, tak ten Slovák Rom potřebuje slovenského romského překladatele nebo toho romského překladatele, protože možná neumí slovensky, možná se tadyhle narodil a umí jenom romsky a anglicky tak trošku a potřebuje někoho romského, takže potom můžeme tadyhle zase informaci používat dál. A taky kvůli tomu, že jsme v Anglii, jestli Anglie nás pozná jako Roma, tak si myslím, že to bude strašně silný tadyhle to mít v Anglii, kde jsme poznaný jako britský, český, jakýkoliv, ale jako Rom, kde můžeme my potom postavit sami sebe, svoje lidi z naší komunitu, naše děti a naši budoucnost jako Rom. Yes, brilliant. I think again, it's a very important part and one of the parts of why we are involved as an organization. I think it is very important for the Roma community to actually put down of who they are, and put as much as information as possible for not just the individuals. Like I said, the census, it really looks at a whole picture of the people in the country, and to actually think about it like that. I am a Roma in this country.
Yes.
This is my circumstances now, and in 10 years, hopefully by giving you my information, by giving you this information, we can work with it better in 10 years.
That's right.
And that's basically the hope. And really, I asked me, because I was just going to get onto that. I was going to ask you, what would be what is the point for Roma people? What would be the benefit for Roma people actually doing the census? And I think you touched up on it really, really well there.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather come to the person who knows more about it, which would be you. So that's why I'd like your answer on this. It's the value thing. It's really important. I work to try and help make sure every part of the community can take part. And I'm very aware that the people who understand most how to make sure everyone is counted are the people who are part of that community. So it's for you to tell me how I can help. And the same with the other organisations I'm talking to and the other people I'm speaking to. And I get a brilliant response. People are very, very positive. And it's slightly different in each place as to what it is I'm going to do to help. But that's what we want to do, is to make sure everybody does count, that nobody is missed out, everyone can take part.
Yeah, I think
reassure people about it.
I think there's many work going into this for the Roma people around Europe regarding the census and recording their ethnicity as Roma, as still many Roma people are very hesitant to record themselves as Roma for several reasons. Many are scared to portray themselves as Roma, thinking that the outside community will then stereotype them in a certain way. Many see it not necessary and just look at their nationality rather than their ethnicity. So there's a lot of work, and we're hoping to do the same in England, and to let people, Roma people, know. But if I can just share my personal experience, I am so happy when I see the Roma option in the ethnicity column.
Yeah.
Now you see it very rarely, but when you do see it, sometimes it's Gypsy Traveler Roma. Yeah. I get this exciting feeling like, I'm recognized. My
Counted,
ethnicity is,
right.
you know, I am a Roma. It's not just
Yeah.
something made up that I've made up. I am part of Roma, and I'm really happy to tick that straight away.
Yeah.
And you know, I class myself now. I've been here in over 20 years. So I've been here since I was little, and I don't know much about the Czech Republic. You know, I don't certainly know the history. I know a lot about the UK, so I class myself as a British Roma. So I think going forward, if we're actually able to take that, recognize ourselves, that identify ourselves as that, it is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. Again, I get a really nice feeling when I'm able to do that, and I'm hoping that I'm able to make the Roma community in Bradford particularly understand and have that same feeling, to be joyful that, you know, the UK is willing to accept you as
and to recognise,
a Roma.
exactly. Yeah, no, I think you're spot on there. Absolutely right. And no, it's the census is an opportunity to really find out about people now and really understand. And we need to do that in Bradford. I think in the time I've been doing this work here in Bradford, I think pretty much every organisation I've spoken to who spends time in the community, who actually works directly with people, they're telling me how Bradford has changed over the years. In fact, you go back 40, 50 years, it's changing every few years, it changes. But in the last sort of 10 or 15 years, we need to understand who we have in Bradford now, so that we can make sure that the government services are there, the council services are there, but also that we have enough people with the right skills, and the people with the right language skills, and people with the right understanding, to make sure that everyone can be looked after and be supported, can take part in society, really. We'll try and count everyone. That's what we want to do.
Tak já vám to ještě takhle rychle vysvětlím, protože co říkám, že když já mám tadyhle možnost v Anglii, já nevidím to hodně, jsou strašně moc pár organizací, kde tam píše irský cigán anebo Rom. Že to prostě je tam možnost, že je to naše jakoby národnost. Když já tadyhle to vidím, já se cítím strašně moc dobře, cítím se úplně šťastný vůbec, jakoby, že to tam je napsaný, že tam můžu dát, že já jsem Roma, že to není jenom něco, co já jsem si vymyslel, že jsem Roma, ale že to fakt existuje a jsem část Roma. Část Romů, jsme část velké komunity a jsme lidi. Takže jsem strašně rád, hnedka to tam dám, že to jsem já a vůbec žiju v Anglii už dlouho, už jsem tadyhle od malička, nevím, strašně málo vím o České republice. Vím hodně tady o Anglii, takže kvůli tomu si říkám britský Roma. Do budoucnosti rád bych si strašně viděl tady tu možnost si dát pro naše Roma, pro naše děti a tak dále do budoucnosti. Tadyhle taky Julie ještě říká, že oni jsou strašně rádi tadyhle to sčítání lidí, jak to pomáhá do té budoucnosti vědět přímo, protože Bradford se mění, jo, každých pár let, říká tady těch posledních 50 let se to mění, každých pár let, všelijaký věci se tadyhle dějou v Bradfordu a posledních tady těch 10-15 let máme všelijaký komunity, co sem přišli, hodně jasný, že z Evropy jsme sem přijeli, takže chtějí pochopit, kdo tady je, kde žijou, co to jsou za lidi, aby do té budoucnosti jsme měli ty lidi, co můžou pomoct, ty servisy, ty organizace, tu strukturu, ten proces, aby jsme my tadyhle měli ty komunity nový, co jsme sem přijeli a sčítání lidí nám tady to 100% pomůže. Yeah, thank you. I think definitely it is a big part, and I know it's been a big part of the world for a very long time, very long time. It's been here for centuries and has helped shape the world, and you know, has helped sharing information about the world and the people in it. So you know, again, since little I know about census, you know, since a young age, and I don't know, it's really weird, but when the form comes, I remember being like 10 years, and when the form came in England, I was so excited about it. Oh no, census, you know, it's here again, you know, every 10 years. It's just an exciting time. And to hear what you've got to say and how systematically you guys do it, it's absolutely fantastic to learn the background of the census. But I'm sure that you've got some interesting bits to share over these years?
I do. I've got some interesting facts about the census. But I've also got another interesting fact, which is not really about the census, but it is about the census. So back in 1991, I was a census enumerator, was the name we had in those days. So it was an extra job. I was working full time already, and it was an extra job to go and take forms around. And I had my bag and paper in those days, heavy bag with lots of these booklets in.
Oh gosh, that must have been heavy, because one of them is about that big.
Yeah, it was. It was a big job. It was a lot more work than I expected, I have to say. But the good thing that came out of it was I met my husband. He was also a census enumerator. So we had our training sessions. It was at Battersea Library in the room upstairs there. We had our training sessions in January of that year, 1991. And we met then. And we both had to go and spend all our time doing the census work, because it really was every evening you had to go out and do it all again. But despite that, we got together, and here we are 30 years later.
Oh, wow.
We're still together, married.
Story.
I have the census to thank for my husband.
What a story. But so we've literally got the best person in Bradford from census, period. Like,
I know, yeah.
Wow.
As far as I'm concerned, it's a great activity.
So
it's
you've got history with census there, Julia.
I do, absolutely, yeah. And I can certainly say I've seen it change. But when I had to carry that bag of forms around and knock on every door, that the online bit is a bit easier now. It's definitely a bit simpler.
What a change, what a change. But what a story. Thank you for sharing that. That is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's just part and parcel of our lives for all these years when people say to us, how did you two meet? And say, well, we were both taking the census forms around all those years ago.
Census got us together.
And then I didn't know I'd end up doing this job now. But when I saw it last summer, I thought, oh, I quite like the census. I liked working on it before. So I applied.
That's the one. Makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Wow. Krásný příběh na téhle Julie řekla. Já jsem si chtěl zeptat, jestli má něco interesního, jestli má něco skvělého nám říct okolo censusu, nebo něco divného, co se stalo přes ty roky. A ona dala svůj příběh. Takže 1991 měla práci, pracovala někde úplně jinde, ale vzala si jakoby extra, aby si vydělala trošilinku extra a dala se do tady toho sčítání lidí, kde prostě měla všechny ty papíry, ty formy v tašce, říkala, že to bylo strašně těžký a musela to vzít teda adresám a každý mu dá tu formu. A říká, tam potkala svého manžela. Tam se teda potkali a do dneška jsou tam spolu, po 30 letech jsou spolu a dneska vůbec pracuje na tomhle projektu pro sčítání lidí. Říká, viděla jsem to minulý rok, že ta práce vyšla a říkám, to je nejlepší práce pro mě, jdu do toho. Takže Julie je nejlepší člověk, co můžeme mít v Bradfordu okolo sčítání lidí, jak má velikánskou historii z toho organizací. Wow, what a story.
Yeah, it's good. It's a big part of my life, the census.
Yeah. It's where life takes us. Life likes to build its own pathway and take us on a route. So
you never know quite where you're going to end up. It's true. You never quite know. I never thought I'd end up living in Yorkshire. Lived in London for so many years, but I love it up here. It's great. Really nice
it's good to have you. Yeah. We are very proud of Yorkshire here in Yorkshire.
Yeah. I feel I can't even claim, only a year or so now, just over a year. I can't claim to have any. I can't call myself a Yorkshire person yet, but
Yeah. Soon enough. We'll give you a stamp of approval soon enough. Let's get out pandemic, share a festival, and I'm sure you'll shine over there, Julia.
Yeah, there's lots going on, isn't there? It's good.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be part soon. But again, thank you very much to be a part. The absolutely brilliant information. I'll share more of the information that you've sent. I've got a couple of bits there, so I'm going to start sharing it as much as possible.
There's timing wise. I know we've finished the main bit of the interview, but there's a little bit of timing I can tell you, which we can just make sure we share as well.
Yeah.
So people will start receiving letters from us from the 3rd of March onwards.
Okay.
And they can fill it in straight away if they want to. They can wait till after 21st of March if they want to. And they really need to get it done by the end of April.
By the end of April.
Yeah,
So
now
it
if you
gives you
wait
the
till
2
April,
months
someone will knock on
almost.
the door. Someone like me will knock on the door.
Right,
But
okay.
if they're finding it hard to get help or they can't find someone to help them, we've got plenty time. But the letters will start coming from March the 3rd onwards.
Right, jo. Tak než teda skončíme, chci dát teda to časování okolo toho procesu. Dopisy začnou být poslaný od 3. března, takže 3. marce, 3. března dopisy budou poslaný. Může se to začít okamžitě, když dostanete ten dopis, anebo od 21. se to jakoby musí začít, takže 21. března a musí to být skončený do konce dubna, takže do konce apríla to musí být skončený. Ještě jednou máte dost času, linka tam je, digitálně to můžete udělat, můžete se zeptat na papír, můžete jít různým organizacím, co budou reklamovat, dobrý za týden, 2 týdny se tady to bude reklamovat. Můžete nám taky zavolat, když máte nějaké teda otázky nebo nějaký problém, jestli nerozumíte, snad tady to video bylo v pořádku. Když nerozumíte pořádně anglicky, nemusíte, jasně, že poslouchat tu anglicky můžete to vždycky přetočit. Ale děkujeme teda strašně moc Julie, že jsem přišla, dala nám tady tu informaci a svoji historii sčítání lidí. Jsme strašně moc rádi, děkujeme. So yeah, Julie, thank you very much. It's good to know. And it's we're just around the corner. We've got about 2 weeks, and the letters are being sent. I like to say well done to Census by giving all these options.
Thank you. Yeah.
You know, it's a big thing. It's a big thing to say that the pandemic won't even hold you up. So you know, well done for that. I'm really happy that you've got the 40 languages that Language Line will provide. So it's good that you guys thought of that. You've thought of the options on digitally as well. It just shows how diverse not just Bradford is, but how diverse the UK is. So it'll be really good to know what's going to come out of it. Just before we let you go, then, when will we see the stats? When will we see Census almost completed in action with information?
So the first information is going to come out just 1 year after the census, which sounds like a long time. But if I go back to 1961, it took them 5.5 years to get the results out.
Wow.
So we've made progress in how quick we can get the answers together. But if we've got 60 odd million people in the country, maybe it's 70 million now, who knows? So to get the first results out in 1 year is it's amazing. It's a huge task for the guys to do. Really,
yes, definitely. It sounds a big job there, but from 5.5 years to a year definitely is amazing. That is amazing. 70 million people is a lot of people to go.
It's a lot of people to count. It's a lot of people to count.
Tak ještě jenom poslední otázka, co jsem se zeptal, kdy vyjde, teda už sčítají všichni lidi a kdy potom vyjde ta informace, tak paní říká, že to trvá 1 rok. Takže 1 rok, než vyjde ta informace z toho sčítání a vůbec říká, 1961 to trvalo 5,5 roku dát dohromady tu informaci. Říká, tak teďka jsme strašně rádi, že to můžeme udělat do 1 roku. Mluvíme o nějakých 70 milionů lidí, takže 70 milionů lidí projdou, dají dohromady informaci do 1 roku a informace nám vyjde a můžeme to používat. Co si myslím, že je výborné. Wow. Absolutely amazing, a lot of work.
Brilliant.
Again, so thank you very much, Julia, for coming apart. We will share this video.
I've really enjoyed talking to you. It's been fantastic to have this chance and a proper talk about it as well, and have the time to really let you know the information. It's been brilliant and great that you can translate it for people as well. It's really good that you can do that. Thank you. If anyone's got questions as well, they can let you know on your Facebook page. Let me know. We'll get the answers sorted out. Yeah, we'll see what we can find out.
Definitely. Tak ještě jednou teda děkujeme strašně moc. Prosím, máte ještě nějaké otázky, nepochopili jste něco, nerozuměli jste něco, můžete nám zavolat, můžete tam nechat v komentáři nějaké otázky, my budeme zpátky sem Julie, zeptáme se, dostaneme tu odpověď pro vás a přijdeme zpátky. Vůbec máme ještě nějaký jenom 2 týdny a dopisy začnou k vám chodit, takže jsme snad připraveni na to, aby jsme mohli pomoct, co nejvíc můžeme. Tak děkujeme ještě jednou a mějte se, každému přejeme dobrý den. Well, thank you again, then, Julie, and do have a good day.
Very welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.